Hey guys, welcome back for another adventure. Today it's going to be a little bit different video than what you've been seeing on the channel. I want to talk about what I've learned my first 6 months of wood turning. If you're like me, you stumbled on his channel because there's been a lot of wood turning videos, and you're either just got a lathe and you're trying to learn how to use it, or you're thinking about buying one. And that's kind of where I was 8 months ago. I had always wanted a lathe, but everybody I talked to told me, oh, don't get a lathe. It takes years to learn how to use it and to make decent product and decent stuff. They lied to me. That's total and complete BS. I got my lathe and started making bowls in about 2 weeks of messing with it. But I watched a lot of videos, and honestly, those videos just confused me to death. I ordered my lathe for my birthday back in May, and it was a month to get it, so I started watching YouTube videos, and it was crazy. I'd watch one guy and he'd tell me, never, ever, ever do this. And then the next video, the guy was doing exactly what I was just told not to do. Things were confusing. They worry about how fast the lathe is turning and which exact tool they're using. And then got into the argument over which is better, high-speed steel or carbide. Confusing as everything. When I ordered the lathe, I wasn't really sure what to order, so I ordered a chuck and I ordered a set of tools that were very reasonable. Figured, they'll be good to learn with, and then I can upgrade and buy those really expensive gouges. Honestly, I don't know if those expensive gouges are worth the money. I also bought a set of carbide tools, and I'm going to show you all that stuff in a little bit. And I found out that carbide tools work different than the high-speed steel tools, but there's a place for each of them. And one is not better or worse than the other. They're just different. And it all depends on you and your style of which one works better. I find the carbide tools tend to work better, especially when I'm turning epoxy, and the steel tools work better on wood. But I like the square carbide tool to make nice crisp corners, especially for my tenons. I like the detail gouge that's carbide. But I like the other tools too, and I've upgraded and I've bought a few more. We'll go through all that in a little bit. I want to show you stuff, but let's first talk about lathes. If you're just thinking about buying a lathe, what do you buy? There are so many choices out there. And how do you determine what you need? Well, I looked at it and put down, what do I think I want to do with a lathe? Well, I want to turn bowls and plates, things like that. And so I'm going to need at least 12 inches. I don't want to turn those huge 30-inch bowls right now. That just didn't interest me. I want to turn smaller stuff. But I also thought, well, if I really don't enjoy turning, I don't want to spend a lot of money on a lathe. What else would I use it for? Well, table legs, chair legs, and backs. And in that case, if I had a copy attachment, that would work really well. And I started shopping around, and I'm a big fan of Grizzly tools. I've got a Grizzly shaper, and so I went to Grizzly, and they had this lathe. It was, I don't know, $800, $900. And it came with a copy attachment. Now, I don't having a lot of power in my shop, so the 220 equipment was kind of out of the question. So I found a lathe. It's, I think, 1.5 or 2 horsepower, 120 volt. It's got a 37-inch bed on it, and it's got a copy attachment. Now, this is not, definitely not a heavy-duty lathe. It does not have a cast iron bed. It's just got a steel bed that they bent. It has some shortcomings. It doesn't have the quick locks and releases on the tailstock on the banjo. It's got bolts, and you just got to get used to that. It slows you down a little bit. But once you get used to it, it's not too bad. It works. I've bought some more tool rests for it. We'll talk about those in a little bit, so stick around. So it's a good starting lathe, but is it the right lathe for everybody? Of course not. You can buy small benchtop lathes that, have a bed of 2 foot, and you can turn bowls on them, and you can turn lots of stuff. They'll work great. If you're limited in space and you don't want to start, less expensive. Hey, I'm a fan of that. I don't have a lot of money to dump in my tools, so I buy lower cost tools. Yes, they're not going to last me a lifetime, but when I find out which ones I'm going to use the most and I wear these out, then I'll go buy better stuff that'll last. Hey, I'm 66 years old. I don't know how long I'm going to be walking this green earth. So if they last 10 years, I've got my use out of them. I'm happy. So I tend to lean toward the lesser expensive stuff. And I'm very, very pleased with this Grizzly. I've had a few problems with it. Grizzly's been very responsive, sent me parts to fix it. Their tech support is excellent. But your choice. You can buy a more expensive one. If you think that's a better deal for you, there's no right or wrong. And that's what I'm trying to get to. There's no right or wrong with the tools. Buy what you can afford. Get the best deal you can get. Use them. See what works. See what you like and you don't like. And then you can upgrade. There's always a market for used tools. So here we go. So I'm going to pop the camera off the tripod here. And I'm going to show you the lathe, show you the chuck. We're going to talk about tools and a few things that I've learned in the last 6 months. So here's the lathe. There's an unboxing video if you want to go look at it. It came on a metal stand that I absolutely hated. So I built this wooden cabinet to go underneath of it. This handle is the copy attachment. And it's just, I haven't even used it yet. Just pushed it over to the side. You can see, let me get in here. There's the other piece of the copy attachment. This is one of the chucks that I bought. Works really great to take tenons off of bowls. It's adjustable, but I found that you really need to run the tailstock up to hold the bowl tight against it. Their bowls tend to fly off of it. So it works, but you got to be careful with it. So let's talk about tools. Here's my rack that I built, and you can find a video about that. And so there's square tipped carbide, round carbide. There we go. There we go. And That's good. Detail. That's carbide. I bought this set, and it came with one handle for 4 different tools. I ordered more handles and got 2. So I just turned one for this. Used a little bit of epoxy to set it in, and it works great. I really like this handle. Here is the carbide to get inside of bowls. Haven't used it much, but a couple times I've needed it. It works really well. And then we get high-speed steel, spindle gouge, and let's go around on the other side. Parting tool, gouges. I've recently bought this one, which is 5/8, and let's see, this is 1/2 inch, and this is 3/8. And I bought some wrenches. The lathe came with these really chintzy wrenches, and they just sucked. So 24 millimeter for the banjo, and the 35 millimeter hanging there. Works great on the tailstock when I need to lock it down. And of course, here's some centers. This is the center that came with it, and I see these used all the time, but what I've found is it keeps loosening up, and it keeps pushing into the wood and makes a mess. So I bought this one, and it works pretty good. But then I bought this one, and I really like this one. The tip is spring-loaded. It doesn't push in, yet it grips really well. That's the one I tend to use the most. And then, of course, there's the drive for the other side. Go back over here to the lathe, and you can see one of the chucks that I bought. Let's see, is this the original? No. This is the second one I bought off of Amazon for $50. Really like it. Really, really like it. This is the one down here I bought from Grizzly. I paid $250 for the set, but I got that. I got all these jaws that are hanging here. Not had real good luck with it. Here you can see a couple more centers that I've got. There's a bigger one. And here's a little drive center that, I don't know, it works, but not really worth the money. What I like, and I use a lot, are these face plates. This one in particular is a little bit longer here, and the biggest problem with this lathe, and you can see it, is where the motor sits. And if you put the shorter face plates on, let me grab one here, and it sits, and your wood, if it's too big, tends to hit this motor. Doesn't work. You got plenty of clearance at the bottom, but you don't have the clearance to the motor. But this chuck is big enough that you can see it comes out and holds your wood out past that motor, so you can have the full capacity of the lathe. So I really like this one. I see guys, they fill every hole with a screw, and I've found, anything I've turned so far, 4 screws are plenty. Now I use Lathe screws. I've been warned online, don't use drywall screws because they're too brittle. So I went with Lathe screws. Let me grab one here and show you what they look like. They've got a little bigger head, and they're very resilient, even better than wood screws in my opinion. Had a problem with wood screws. They, after doing 2 or 3 pieces of wood with them, they twist off. And I tried to buy good ones and still had the problem, and then they're a pain to dig out. I went and tried these Lathe screws. They hold really well, and I haven't had one break yet, so very happy with those. So what else? Other things you need, definitely a decent compass. These things are invaluable for marking tenon sizes and mortise sizes when you're turning. This is a 6-inch. I've also got a 24-inch or an 18-inch, something like that, a big one, that I use for marking out my bowls. You'll see me in the videos doing those. The one biggest thing I want to tell you guys is don't believe all these guys online that are teaching. Take everything they say, go to your lathe, pull out the tools, and try it. You're going to find that your techniques and the way you work is going to be different from everybody else. And some of the things they tell you will work, and some of them won't. This is not a training video per se, so I'm not going to get into all those techniques. I'll do that down the road. If you guys are interested, drop me a comment. This is more what I've learned, and the biggest thing I've learned is don't believe anything that anybody tells you. Oh, and I forgot to talk about scrapers, because that's the one thing that really made a difference for me. And I want to show you nice straight scraper, invaluable for getting nice flat bottoms on bowls or my plates. Great scraper. This is the one that came with the set, and it's round. You can see it. Works great for certain things, but I don't use it that much because I bought these two. And these, through the asymmetrical, I really like. These things, you can get into the corners and give yourself those nice curves out with your bowls. Really, really nice. This one is a 1-inch, and this one is a 3/4 inch. And I may pick up a 1/2 inch down the road. I don't know. You know, I keep buying tools. What can I say? The other thing that I bought that I really like, and I'm only going to pull one, it was a set of 4, but they're beading gouges. And don't use them a lot, but they're really nice to put a little bead on a bowl. Really like them. I've heard people complain that they burn the wood, and there's some technique to them. You got to mess with them to learn how to use them right. But once you figure it out, they're pretty slick. What else? What else have I learned? Gauge blocks for my tenons. You can see I've got that one marked. Makes it so easy when you're doing tenons. Even though I normally mark them with a compass, I like to use this just to make sure. I've had some issues where I left the tenon just a little bit too big and it wouldn't fit in the chuck, and then I had to go back and return it. It just slows down production a little bit. The other thing, and you're going to see it in my videos, is I typically wear a glove on my left hand. I know conventional wisdom says you shouldn't wear a glove. I bought this at Harbor Freight. No, I'm not sponsored. It's a mechanic's glove. But when you're turning and you're holding that gouge and all those wood chips are hitting you right through here, your hand gets sore after a while, and this will protect you. You just have to make sure that you keep your hand away from all the spinning objects. This thing can get caught and pull your hand in, but it's pretty hard and smooth, and it fits pretty tight. So I don't have a lot of problem. I haven't had a problem yet. Still got all 5 of my fingers on that hand. I typically don't wear one on the other hand because that's the hand that's on the handle of the gouge. And I want to be able to feel that. I want to be able to feel how that gouge is going. One of the bad things with gloves is they take away that tactical feeling, or they numb that tactical feeling. Try it, see if it works for you. It's a personal preference. Whatever works best. And that's with all of this. Whatever works best is how you do it. Don't believe what's out there. There's so much bad information, misinformation, and a lot of these people, they were trained by someone who taught them a specific way to do things. That might work for you, it might not. And you'll find that, different people out there are going to tell you different things. Try it all. Spend some time just messing, watch videos, and then go out to the shop and try those things. And you'll figure it out. It doesn't take long. Turning is a lot easier than what everybody told me. I was able to start turning out bowls, like I said, in about a week or 2. The first few were a little rough, and I've gotten better, and I'm definitely not a master. There's a lot of things I haven't done yet, a lot more things to try. The nice thing about wood turning is the projects are quick. You can go from a log to a finished bowl in an hour. So the rewards are quick, unlike some of the other things that I do, where it takes days or weeks or even months to see the finished product. Let's talk about a couple things I got coming up. If you've made it this far, hopefully you've watched some of my other videos, and you're wanting to know what's coming up. I am going to get away from wood turning. I've got some other projects to do. I've got some shop upgrades planned. That's what I've been doing today, and that's why it's cold here, and I've got my jacket on. I didn't turn my heater on in the shop because I had the overhead door open, cleaning. I spent several months making product for the Christmas show I went to. If you haven't watched that video, please do. Nobody's watching it. And I thought it was a pretty good video. It gives you some ideas of how to arrange a booth. Wasn't too many woodworkers there, but there was other things, and you can get an idea. Everybody has a different idea of how to set their booth up. So go back last week and watch that one. I'd appreciate it. So here's a few things. I want to show you this one. This is a nice piece of cherry. And it's got a problem. As you can see, I turned through the bottom. Now, a lot of people would probably say, well, you ruined it. But we're going to do something with this. And I'm going to turn this into a very beautiful bowl. So keep a watch out for that. If you subscribe and hit that notification bell, you'll see it's going to be a few weeks, but you'll see when this video comes out of how I fix this and turn it into a really beautiful bowl. Got some plans for it. Got another one here. What do you think of this one? This one didn't get finished in time for the show. It definitely had some issues and some holes in it. I was trying to plug with epoxy. I don't know if you can see it right there, if the camera will pick it up. But got some hot glue on the inside down here that we've got to turn out of it. And then we'll sand it down and we'll finish it. It's going to be a gorgeous piece. And then some experimental stuff I want to show you. One of the worst things about wood turning, especially making bowls, is you end up throwing away 90% of the wood. It ends up being wood shavings. Bags and bags and bags of wood turnings. I hate that. And so I was trying to figure out what can I do with them. And so I took a cup of them, had some leftover epoxy, and filled my cup, poured it full of epoxy, and this is what I came up with. If you recall, a few weeks ago, I did that scrap epoxy little bowl. This is kind of the same cup. And we're going to turn this down and see what we can get out of it. So that one will be coming up soon. And then here's another one. I don't know what I'm going to turn out of it yet. But there again, scrap epoxy. Dump some colors in it. And we'll see what we can get. Leave something in the comments. What you'd like to see me try to make out of this. Because I don't know. I'm thinking maybe a mug of some type. I don't have a clue. So, leave a comment. Tell me what you'd like to see. And then the monster. That little one with the wood chips came out really well. And I thought, let's do something bigger. And I came up with this. Let me back up a little bit so you can see it. This is just a bigger bucket. I put a container in the middle to hollow it out so I didn't have to waste a bunch of epoxy. But these sidewalls are about 2 inches thick, so we got plenty to work with. We've got a clear section on top, and then it turns in with all the wood. Don't know what it's going to look like. Probably going to be some type of just a high bowl. I don't know. I don't know yet. Again, comment wood chip and what you'd like to see me try to make out of this. And we'll have some fun. So, there we go. The biggest thing I've learned in 6 months of wood turning is don't believe anything you see online. Don't believe any of those experts. Try everything and see what works best for you. Everybody's different. It's just like sharpening gouges. I see all the time everybody's using these $800-900 sharpeners. I sharpen my gouges with a belt sander. And I do just as well, I think. Maybe one of these days, I'll get one of these companies to send me one of those fancy grinders and we'll try it and see if it really does a better job. But for right now, I'm getting by with my desktop belt sander and it seems to do a good job. I've been sharpening drill bits on those desktop belt grinders for probably 50 years. So it works. And I think it works pretty well. You don't need all that fancy stuff. And you can get into wood turning and have a lot of fun. I'm using wood that most people would probably throw in the fireplace. I've done some bowls with some rotten areas in them, and I just dig out as much of the rotten wood as I can and fill them with epoxy, with colored epoxy. And I've got some pretty neat stuff. And you can do it too. Don't be scared of it. Just take it easy, take it a little bit at a time. Learn to use your tools. Learn what each tool will do and what it excels at. Don't worry about all the fancy terms that these guys tend to throw around. I think it's done more to confuse people than anything else. But watch the videos, watch their techniques, just like you watch mine, and then go out in the shop and try them out and see what works best for you. You guys have a great week. Get out in the shop, make some wood shavings, and please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me as I try to grow this channel. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Got a lot of good stuff coming up, I think. Next week, I think we're going to talk about shop safety. I don't see a lot of that online. I see everybody talking about it a little bit, and a lot of it's misinformation just to sell products that you really don't need. So let's talk about it. I've been doing this for over 50 years. And believe it or not, I still got all 10 fingers. And did it, I was professionally as a carpenter for, 25 years. So I think I know a little bit about it. But we'll get into that in the next video. Remember, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you can see these projects that I got sitting here. We'll get to them in a few weeks. But like I said, I'm kind of moving away from wood turning for a little while. I don't want this channel to be strictly wood turning. And I'm kind of tired of it. I've turned probably 100, 125 bowls since I've got the lathe in the last 6 months. I want to go build something else. And I got a honey-do list that's a mile long. And I've been out here in the shop turning bowls. And the wife's getting a little anxious for some of the projects to get done. So we're going to do some of those. And we'll have some more adventures. Don't know what's coming. But we'll see you next week for another adventure. Have a good one.